Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You ready to get a little nerdy with me today?
Always.
Awesome. So today we're going to be diving deep into a recent scientific discovery with some pretty big implications, I'd say, for our understanding of, you guessed it, life's origins.
Yeah, I'd say
All
so.
right, so imagine this organic compounds, the very building blocks of life, forming in an environment that we thought was totally impossible.
Yeah, what's so fascinating about this is that it really challenges those assumptions about where life can even arise. We always talk about the primordial soup and all that.
Right, exactly. But what if, and stick with me here, what if it wasn't the soup? What if it was like a totally different environment?
Exactly. And that's what we're looking at today. The potential for life to emerge from, well, not that familiar soup, but from a realm of intense heat and pressure. And we're
Oh.
talking deep within the Earth's oceanic crust.
Okay, so paint me a picture here. We're going deep sea diving, miles below the ocean surface, and it's pitch black, no sunlight, and the pressure is crushing. We're talking about a place called the Southwest Indian Ridge, and scientists are using this human-occupied vehicle, the Shinhaiyong Shi, to explore this alien environment.
Yeah, and they found something remarkable down there.
Tell me more.
So the Southwest Indian Ridge, this place and others like it are home to what we call hydrothermal systems. Essentially, imagine underwater hot springs. These things are fueled by volcanic activity, and they're thought to resemble the conditions that existed way back when on early Earth.
So like a window into the past.
Exactly. Picture these vents just spewing out hot, mineral-rich fluids into the cold ocean depths, and it's in this crazy mix of chemistry that things get really interesting.
Okay, so what did they find?
They found something called micron-scale carbonaceous matter.
Micron scale.
Yeah, so we're talking smaller than a human hair.
Wow, that's tiny.
It is. And the thing is, this is essentially organic material, but here's the kicker. It's not from any living thing.
Wait, what?
They found this organic matter embedded in basalt, the rock that forms the ocean crust.
No way.
Yeah.
So hold on. How do they know this organic matter wasn't, I don't know, produced by some kind of bacteria or other life forms
Yeah.
just hanging out down there?
That's where the real detective work comes in.
I love a good science mystery.
Don't we all? To rule out any biological origin, the scientists had to get really high-tech with it.
Oh, I bet. What'd they do?
They used electron microscopy to actually visualize these structures, then mass spectrometry to analyze their chemical composition, and get this, they even used nano-infrared spectroscopy to probe their molecular bonds.
Whoa,
Yeah, pretty wild, right?
that's amazing. But I gotta ask, like, for those of us who don't spend our days in a lab, what did those techniques actually tell us?
So basically, these techniques let scientists search for what we call the fingerprints of life. Think of them as biosignatures, specific patterns we'd see if this organic matter came from something living. And what they found was nothing. No fingerprints, no biosignatures.
So what you're saying is, this stuff just formed on its own.
Exactly. It's abiotic, meaning it formed without life.
Okay, so we've got this abiotic organic matter forming in this crazy deep sea environment. How'd it get there?
Well, the researchers think they found a clue, and it involves a mineral called goethite.
Goethite, huh? What's so special about it?
Goethite forms through the interaction of water and rock. Seems pretty basic, but it's playing a big role here.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What role?
It's like a catalyst, a facilitator, you could say. It speeds up chemical reactions without getting used up itself.
So goethite is kind of like the chef's knife, chopping up the ingredients to make something new.
Love the analogy. And to figure out that goethite was involved, they used computer simulations.
Wait, really? How does that work?
They used a technique called density functional theory, or DFT, super powerful computer simulations of molecules. Basically, it lets scientists see how atoms interact at a super detailed level. And for this research, they were able to actually see how goethite facilitates the growth of carbon chains, the fundamental building blocks of organic molecules.
So it's not just random chemicals bumping into each other. There's a specific process happening here, guided by goethite.
Exactly.
This is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
This could be how the first organic molecules, the very precursors to life, formed on early Earth.
Right. It's a huge possibility.
This is seriously making me rethink everything I thought I knew about the origins of life. It could have been a gradual process driven by this chemistry in these hydrothermal systems.
Absolutely. And that gradual process, it could have taken millions of years.
Yeah.
Molecules interacting, combining, eventually forming those self-replicating structures that we think of as the earliest forms of life.
Wow, this is incredible. We've gone from the depths of the ocean to the possibility of life beyond Earth.
It's a pretty big jump, but that's the beauty of this discovery. It's a potential paradigm shift in how we understand life's origins. It's not just about that classic primordial soup anymore. It's about the possibility of life's building blocks forming in a world of extreme heat and pressure.
So imagine a place like Europa, that moon of Jupiter with the hidden ocean.
Yes. What if there are similar vents down there, creating organic compounds?
This is truly mind-blowing stuff. We've only just scratched the surface of abiotic organic compounds, and there's so much more to explore.
There really is.
We're back and ready to keep diving into this world of abiotic organic compounds. Before we went away, we were talking about Europa and those hydrothermal systems maybe cooking up the building blocks of life.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What else is out there?
It does. And the thing is, this research we're looking at, it mentioned another similar discovery in the Yap Trench. That was a totally separate study, right?
It was. Back in 2021, scientists exploring the Yap Trench, another deep-sea spot with these hydrothermal vents, they found something remarkably similar. Yeah, nanoscale, abiotic organic matter. This time, embedded in mantle rocks.
So it's like two pieces of a puzzle from different boxes, but they fit together.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
So many puzzles to solve, right? But okay, before we go too far down the rabbit hole, let's go back to basics for a sec. When we say abiotic, what does that actually mean?
Good question. Abiotic basically means it happens without living things getting involved. It's all about processes and substances that exist without biology doing the work.
So in this case, the organic matter in both the Southwest Indian Ridge and the Yap Trench, it was formed through chemical reactions, not biological ones.
Right. Not some little bacteria making it, but chemistry in action.
And to be extra sure they weren't missing some hidden life, the researchers used all that high-tech stuff we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, they went all out, looking for those biosignatures, those molecular patterns that scream life.
And they used, what was it, electron microscopy, mass spectrometry?
And nano-infrared spectroscopy. They were thorough, looking at the organic matter at super tiny scales, trying to find even a hint of biology doing the work.
But they didn't, right?
Nope, not a trace. No biosignatures, which means this stuff is abiotic, formed by those hot, mineral-rich fluids reacting with the rocks.
Okay, so let's say we accept that this organic matter is abiotic, no life involved. How does that change how we think about how life even began on Earth?
Well, we've already been talking about hydrothermal systems being possible spots for life to start, right?
All right, so what's new?
It's the how, the mechanism. This research shows that those minerals, like goethite, they're not just sitting there, they're acting as catalysts, actually guiding specific organic molecules into being.
So it's like a level of order and specificity we didn't think was possible without life?
Exactly. It's not just random chance anymore.
Not just a bunch of chemicals bumping into each other and poof, life. There's something more going on, a kind of direction to it, with goethite leading the dance.
That's a great way to put it. And it really highlights how important minerals are in this whole story of how life started. We always focus on the biology, but the chemistry, the geology, that's a huge part too.
This is really changing how I think about it all. Instead of a sudden spark of life, it's more like a slow burn, increasing complexity over a really long time, all thanks to the chemistry of these hydrothermal systems.
Exactly. Millions of years of molecules doing their thing, combining, and eventually you get those self-replicating structures, maybe the first life.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. But before we jump ahead to aliens and self-replicating molecules, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Couldn't there be another explanation? Maybe there's some microbe down there we just haven't found yet making this stuff?
It's a fair point, and the scientists thought about that too.
Oh, good. So what'd they say?
They didn't just look at the lack of biosignatures in the organic matter itself. They checked the whole environment for any signs of microbes doing their thing, and they found nothing.
So for now, abiotic is the best explanation we've got.
It is. We can't rule out the unknown unknowns, of course, but the evidence is strong for this being abiotic.
Okay, so let's say this abiotic organic matter is everywhere, all over the planet in these hydrothermal systems. What does that mean for, well, everything?
It might mean that the stuff life needs to get started was way more common on early Earth than we thought.
Not so rare, after all.
Maybe not. It changes that classic view of life needing this one special, limited environment.
It's like we were looking for a needle in a haystack, but what if the haystack is made of needles?
I like that. It's a total shift in how we think about the origins of life. And it opens up a whole new set of questions, like how did those simple organic molecules become something more complex, something we'd actually recognize as life?
That's a big question. And it gets kind of philosophical, doesn't it? If life can come from non-living stuff, through pure chemistry. What does that even mean for what life is?
That's a question that's been around for centuries. This discovery doesn't give us the answer, but it gives us some clues. Maybe the line between living and non-living isn't so clear-cut.
Like, it's an emergent property. Life just appears when things get complex enough, chemistry doing its thing over a long, long time.
Right, and if that's true, then the chances of life existing somewhere else in the universe, they just got a whole lot bigger. We don't need to find another Earth anymore. We can look at all kinds of crazy environments.
This is so exciting and so much to think about. But before we go full-on philosophy, let's bring it back to Earth for a minute. What about practical stuff? How could this discovery affect us right here, right now?
Another great question. Scientists are looking into that right now. One possibility is in biotechnology. If we can figure out how these abiotic processes create complex organic molecules, we could use that knowledge to do some pretty amazing things.
Like what?
Well, maybe create new materials, new medicines, even new forms of energy. Who knows?
It's like learning from nature's own lab and using those lessons to solve problems here on Earth.
Exactly. This discovery could open up so many new paths for research and innovation. That's what makes science so cool. Every new discovery leads to more questions, more possibilities, and a better understanding of where we fit in the universe.
We've covered so much ground in this segment, it's amazing. Abiotic organic synthesis, the origins of life, biotechnology, but we're not done yet. In our final segment, we're going to go even deeper. We'll talk about the search for extraterrestrial life and what this discovery means for the fundamental nature of life itself. We're back for the final part of our deep dive, and I don't know about you, but my brain is definitely full.
Mine too. It's been a wild ride.
Seriously. Okay, so we've been talking about these abiotic organic compounds forming without life and how it changes everything we thought we knew about where life can get started.
It's like rewriting the rule book.
Totally. And before the break, we were getting into how this could totally change how we look for life out there in the universe. It's not just about finding another Earth anymore, right?
Right, we're talking about expanding what habitable even means.
Like those icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, they have those huge oceans under the ice, right?
They do, and scientists think some of them might have those hydrothermal vents, just like the ones we've been talking about.
So what if abiotic organic synthesis is happening there, under all that ice, far away from the sun?
It would mean those ingredients for life are already there, in places that seem totally inhospitable.
That's crazy. Life brewing in a dark, icy ocean. It's like science fiction.
It really is, and it makes you think, what other kinds of life could be out there? Life that we haven't even imagined.
Life as we don't know it. I love that. So it's not just about finding life. It's about understanding what life even is.
Exactly. If life can come from non-living stuff just through chemistry, maybe it's not some miracle. Maybe it's just what happens when the universe does its thing.
Okay, time for me to be a pain again. Let's say we find these abiotic organic compounds on another planet or one of those icy moons. How would we know if it was really, like, on the way to becoming life? How do we tell the difference between just plain molecules and something that's about to be alive?
That is the question. Scientists are still figuring that out, but there are a few things we can look for.
Give me the clues.
Well, first, complexity. Life, the kind we know at least, is incredibly complex. All these molecules and systems working together, so we'd look for signs of things getting more complex. Bigger molecules, maybe simple metabolic pathways, things like that.
So it's not just about the molecules themselves, but how they're organized, how they interact.
Exactly. Another big one is self-replication. Living things can make copies of themselves, right? So we'd look for molecules that can kind of make more of themselves, or systems that have some basic form of inheritance.
Okay, that makes sense. But wouldn't you need, like, DNA or RNA for that? Some kind of genetic material?
We usually think that way, but who knows? It's life as we don't know it, remember? Maybe there are other ways to store information, to pass it on, maybe different molecules, or even completely different processes.
It's like we're trying to solve a puzzle, but we only have a few pieces.
That's science, right? Always more to discover. And every new discovery opens up more questions, more things to learn. It's all about pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive today. We've gone from the bottom of the ocean to the edges of the universe, trying to understand where life comes from and what it even is.
It's been quite the adventure.
It has. And the crazy thing is, it all started with one scientific discovery. And now we're questioning everything.
That's the power of curiosity. It makes us ask questions, look for answers, and embrace the unknown. Who knows what we'll discover next?
That's the perfect note to end on. Keep those brains curious, everyone.